All right, 7th grade. So today we're going to talk about how to create some washes in watercolor. So a wash is basically just a flat area of watercolor. So it doesn't have any gradation. It doesn't go from dark to light. It's just flat, flat, flat. So for this particular exercise that we're going to do, we need 3 completely different washes of one color. Okay, so we need one that's light, one that's medium, and then one that's dark. So I have my stuff set up here. I'm getting out my paper towel right now. And what we're gonna go ahead and do first is, once we have our supplies, we're gonna go ahead and activate one of these colors. Okay, and what I mean by that is I'm gonna just grab a paintbrush, really does not matter which one, make sure it's wet, dab off extra paintbrush tool, and you're gonna go ahead and just sort of tickle it into this color. And I'm going to do that just a couple of times just to add the water gradually. I don't want to flood this because it really does destroy the set. I just want to wake up this color to use, okay? Sometimes if you don't do that, you end up kind of gouging out the pigment in the sets rather than actually using it gradually. So once my color is activated, I know I want to use blue today for this. I'm going to go ahead and in different sections of my paint palette lid, I'm going to add water. So for the first one, I am going to just bring some water from my water cup onto my tray lid, like so. I'm going to do the same thing in the second one. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm actually going to do it a different way. All right. So I'm just going to stick with one. I'm just going to try and stick with one area of water. So because I need a light, a medium, and a dark of the same color, I want to make sure that I have a whole bunch of water here first, and I'm going to gradually darken it as I go through my process. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my damp paper towel, or sorry, my damp brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just tickle it a little bit in the blue. I am going to mix it with my water to create an even color, and then I'm going to apply it to my paper. Okay, now here's where I'm going to apply it. So this is my lightest wash. I'm going to then deepen it by adding more and more pigment to it. So to create cubes that look three-dimensional, I am going to go ahead and add the lightest wash there. This will make the cube appear like the light is coming from the top. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is to apply it, I'm going to switch brushes to a flat brush. The reason why I'm using this one is this haircut can actually paint in a straight line or a larger curve very easily. I'm going to make sure that I hold this by the grippy if it has one, and I'm going to grab my wash that I just created and pull it from there, trying to keep it inside of the lines. All right, boom, done and done. All right, so I'm gonna rinse and blot my paintbrush and move this out of the way. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transform this wash into a slightly darker one, okay? How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna go back and with my paintbrush, I'm gonna tickle it into this crater right here and add a little bit more pigment, okay? And spread it around. I can also test it on my paper, kind of near my cube. Near my cube, and it looks like I did it right here. I don't want to move the paper back, and it's significantly darker, okay? So this is now a shade or two darker than my lightest one, so let me bring my paper back and kind of see it right there, how that's darker than that. I'm going to switch paintbrushes again, grab my medium wash, and I'm going to apply it gradually to my paper, okay, using my flat brush. Now, 7th grade, a couple of things to be mindful of. This is not watercolor paper. So this paper is just copy paper. It doesn't have the ability to soak up the water, so there's that. Also, please be mindful of anytime you're painting two areas that are wet side by side, like one right after the other, it will bleed together. So see how I'm leaving this little piece of white right here? I'm doing that intentionally because I want to paint one area right after the other. Typically though, it's not a good idea. Okay, so see how this one is slightly darker than the top. All right, now for this last one, I need my last wash to be significantly darker. Okay, so let me go back to my set right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my paintbrush, and I am going to tickle it into my color again, grab some pigment, and I'm actually gonna do it twice just to make sure that it's significantly darker. Okay. I'm gonna mix it thoroughly. I'm gonna test it on my paper. And right now, I know you can't see this, but I'm looking at it and it looks very similar right now to the medium one I just did. So I'm gonna add a little bit more pigment to this. And I'm gonna test it again, just at the top. Oh yeah, this one's good. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. And the last one here, yeah, so this is my test, my last test. So that last test is a lot darker than that, so I'm digging that. Let me go ahead and grab my brush real quick, dip it in the wash, and again, I'm gonna use, oh yeah, that's a nice color. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use my flat brush and leave just a smidge of water, or sorry, a smidge of white. And just so that they don't mix together. All right, so right now we have, just like the example, light, medium, and dark, we have a cube that looks slightly three-dimensional in watercolor. Why is this important? Well, the cube is the base structure or base form for your structure, which is your house or your building. So we want to be mindful of that before, and know how to do it before we add it to the final. You are going to choose two other colors to work with your washes. Okay, light, medium, and dark wash. So let's say I want to do a purple one next or something like that. Add water onto your lid, add just a little bit of pigment, mix it, apply it for your medium one. Add more pigment to your wash, test it before you apply it for the darkest one. You saw me add a lot more to that in order to get it to darken, so just expect to do that. Always use the flat brush to apply it, just so that you can have control over where your color goes. And remember, if things are side by side and you don't leave that little bit of white, it will bleed together.